Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John with Flippin' Ain't Easy, and on Friday we talked about this subject because it literally was signed into law 15 minutes before we actually went live. And that is the big beautiful bill, which I didn't know that it contained language that would change the reporting threshold for these third-party processors. Now, eBay is not a bank, but they are considered in that because they do collect and distribute money. PayPal, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, you name it. They were bound last year to a $5,000 reporting threshold, meaning if you made, that's with the price of the item plus shipping, if you made more than $5,000, well, eBay was supposed to report that to the IRS through the 1099-K. Now, this bill, what it does, it changes that. So now, and it's not something that's going to change every year like potentially it was set up to be. It now is two things before eBay will report it. Well, actually three. I'll tell you the three things. The first two have to both be true, meaning that you've made over $20,000 in sales for, in this case, fiscal year 2025 or calendar year 2025, and 200 individual transactions, which means if you made $30,000 and only sold 150 items or had 150 transactions, eBay would not send a 1099-K to the IRS. If you had 300 sales or 300 transactions and only made $15,000, well, both aren't true. You did one but not the other, so therefore eBay would not submit that information to the IRS. Now, the third thing is some states have a reporting threshold in place, which means that eBay would still report that to the IRS if you live in one of those states. They're reporting it out because you're going to get 1099K'd for that. Just the way it works. I don't know what state you're in. I have no idea. I'm in Nevada. I don't have state taxes, but many of you guys do live in those states, so make sure you know your state tax laws. Now, it's not big news to every seller like for myself. I mean, sellers like me who've been paying taxes regardless. If you're making $2,000 a year and you're still reporting on your taxes, then this really isn't going to affect you. The only thing it really will affect is that the IRS will be receiving a certain set of numbers if you're over the $20,000 and 200 transactions. And the way I've always looked at it is that I want my numbers to match what the IRS is getting. So I'm more inclined to make sure my eBay numbers that are reported to the IRS are the same eBay numbers, so there's no discrepancies. But for me, it's not a big deal. Whether I'm getting a Form 1099-K or not, I know that I'm reporting that. For others, it means that, and I'll just put it out there like this: I don't have a dog in this hunt, guys. I'm just reporting this to you. But I can tell you, based on comments that I've received about the reporting threshold this entire time, all these years, it's been changing from, $20,000 to, it was then, $600 to then $500. Well, there's a lot of people quitting reselling because of it, because it would put them into a higher tax bracket because, in theory, that they're not reporting these taxes unless the IRS it's reported to the IRS. And for a lot of folks, that's turned people off on the idea of reselling because maybe you're retired and can't make but X amount of dollars more per year. There's some retirees that have to abide by that or they lose their retirement. Maybe you get benefits or something like that, and the idea that you're selling online to help pay your bills gets reported to the government. Well, that turns a lot of people off to the idea of reselling. Now that there's $20,000 and a 200 transaction requirement for eBay to send that 1099-K to the IRS, well, there's a number of people that, and I don't have an idea, maybe just one person out there, but there's many people out there, in my opinion, who are now going to be reselling because of this, due to the fact that they do not technically, you do have to report it, but it's not being reported to the IRS if they're selling $10,000, $15,000 worth of stuff. And again, this is not a commentary. This is not a video that's just telling you how I feel about it. It's just telling you the way I see it. I'm calling balls and strikes here, guys. Now, I can see this bringing in more people on the platform. Bringing in more people as sellers creates more items on the platform that you have to compete with. So for a reseller who's been doing this for years, or maybe you just started a year ago, don't be surprised if you see more competition. More competition, guys, isn't necessarily a good thing. Now, if we have more buyers, that's great. But whenever you bring in more sellers, that means it's going to be more difficult to sell your items. Just the way things are, supply and demand. You add more supply to the site, unless we get more buyers, it's going to be harder to sell your stuff. So I just want to know what you guys think about that. Now, look, it's not just me, making this up. It's not a trust me bro moment. I'll show you right here. This is value added resource. This is a Liz Morton's site. She does a great job with passing on the news about these things. And this was updated on the 4th of July. It had passed the House and the Senate on Thursday. And then on Friday, the 4th of July, it was reported, actually signed by the president. And caveat, no commentary about politics. This is all reselling at this point. It doesn't matter if you agree with it, disagree with it. I'm just reporting what's actually happening, okay? But here it is. $20,000 and more than 200 separate transactions per year, okay? Now, under the law that used to be, now when this is written, Liz put under the current law, it was $5,000. We did have a moment where $600 or more, but now, and this is actually effective, the way this is written, this is actually the verbiage of the actual law, the amount of which would otherwise be reported under subsection A with respect to such transactions exceeds $20,000, and, see that and the aggregate number of such transactions exceeds $200. And it says effective date, the amendment made by this subsection shall take effect as if included in section 9674 of the American Rescue Plan Act. That's already been passed. That was passed last year, meaning that this is effective in 2025, meaning that sales that you've already made go towards this. Okay, so anything from January 1 through present, if you've exceeded $20,000 in sales and over 200 individual transactions, then it will affect you and you should expect a 1099K. What is a 1099K? A 1099K is just notification from the payment processor to the IRS that you have X amount of dollars that you've earned for that particular calendar year, and now the IRS is expecting you to report it. Versus, you make $10,000 in sales, IRS don't know about it unless you live in one of those states. Now, it's controversial. There's people on one side saying, hey, now I don't have to report. There's others like myself that'll say, well, you should have been reporting all along. If you make $5 on the site, you should be reporting that. But it's not my business. Your business is your business. My business is my business, and I'll leave it at that. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware by putting this video out. For those of you who didn't watch the live on Friday because of the holiday and all that, I get it. Maybe you didn't watch the replay. Why aren't you watching the live? Why aren't you watching the replay? Who knows? But maybe now you will, because we like to break these things when they happen. We do that on 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern on Fridays, Mondays and Fridays. We try to do it every week to try to keep you guys up to speed. And we have a great community, so why don't you just come over and hang out with us and be a part of that conversation. But I digress, guys. Figuring out, and I'm not a CPA, by the way. I'm not here to tell you tax advice or anything like that. I'm just here to kind of report what's going on in the world of reselling. Hopefully that brings you up to speed. But figuring out what to do with this information, well, that's yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. I want you to have an excellent rest of your day, and we will talk to you here very soon. Take care.
Shock back, return streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. Mistakes. Learn from them and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, will you guide? With flipping ain't easy by your side. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord